I love the King of Fighters series. I'm not great at it, but I love it nonetheless. The King of Fighters series started in 1994 in the arcades for the NeoGeo MVS, or the multi-video system. The name The King of Fighters came from the original Fatal Fury game, which subtitle was the same. Before Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo, we originally had The King of Fighters for SNK. The game was meant to draw in characters from several SNK game series into one. Series like Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting and others. SNK have the luxury of various known fighting game series being under their care. Examples like, but not limited to, The King of Fighters, Art of Fighting, Fatal Fury, Samurai Showdown, and The Last Blade. The Nintendo Switch have seen 3 retro retail releases from SNK so far when it comes to collections or compilations. The NeoGeo Pocket Color Selection Volume 1, Samurai Showdown NeoGeo Collection, and the SNK 40th Anniversary Collection. We also had the character Terry Bogard from Fatal Fury joining Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as a part of the King of Fighters pack. Now, assuming that we're not seeing an ACA NeoGeo collection by Hamster coming to retail anytime soon, I thought that SNK were on a roll with retail editions and we might have seen collections of Metal Slug and King of Fighters, but unfortunately this has not happened yet. But we did get a Samurai Showdown NeoGeo collection, as I mentioned. So today I want to talk about what a retail King of Fighters NeoGeo collection might look like on the Nintendo Switch, which should be on the system already. Kind of like this cover I made, which you can see on screen now. But before we get into that, hello everyone, welcome to the QuesterMage, Mage's Quest to talk about games. In today's video I want to talk about a retail King of Fighters NeoGeo collection, which should be on Nintendo Switch. If you're one of the 110 plus subscribers on the channel so far, thank you very much. It's literally the only way this channel can grow. If you like our content, please do consider clicking that like button and subscribing to the channel. Like I said earlier, the King of Fighters series started in 1994, seeing sequels every year up to 2003, at least in Japan. All of which are currently available for the Nintendo Switch, but only digitally on the eShop, via Hamster's ACA NeoGeo collection. But I do think this series deserves a retail edition. From 2003 onward, SNK no longer created games with the titles based on each year. The titles then varied, but the series continued from King of Fighters 11 to King of Fighters 15. For there to be a Nintendo Switch King of Fighters collection, I think all the year-to-year games would have to be present. So from King of Fighters 1994 to King of Fighters 2003. They could call it the Arcade Collection, like the image I put together, which you can see on screen, or more likely, the King of Fighters NeoGeo Collection. 10 games is a good number in the retail box for this series, which I think would make most fans happy. These are potentially the more known titles in the series, some even having updated versions on Steam, which would also be nice to have in this collection. A limitation of bringing games to retail for Nintendo Switch is said to be the size of the cart. As we are talking about a retail edition, let's look at the size of each game. On screen now, you'll see that on the left I have the name of each individual King of Fighters game from 1994 to 2003, and on the right we have the size of each game in megabytes. The grand total of all of these is 1561 megabytes, or just above 1.5 gigs. This would fit on one of the smaller carts for Nintendo Switch. If in comparison we looked at the Samurai Showdown NeoGeo collection, that was 7124 megabytes, so 7.1 gigs, and the new Samurai Showdown that came out on Nintendo Switch was 15,435 megabytes, or just under 15.5 gigs. If these examples are anything to go by size-wise, then there should be no problem for this collection to be in a retail box on the Nintendo Switch. So that's the list of games. Now moving on to some features. Features-wise, this compilation should follow the example of SNK's 40th Anniversary Collection and the Samurai Showdown NeoGeo Collection. I really liked the way that both of these games had a lot of auxiliary content on the cart itself. So for this collection, I would like more of the same, really. Starting with arcade borders. Now this is a feature that I've mentioned several times on the channel that to me is really important. I think it really helps to play the original arcade game with the original arcade border art surrounding it. It's one of those features that really helps to make you feel like you're playing this game in an arcade. Secondly would be screen scaling options, mandatory in my opinion. Some people prefer the game in pixel perfect, other ones in 4:3, other ones in 5:4, or stretching the image to the full screen. Now I know some people don't like one or two of these options, but to me it's really important to have the most options possible. I think the more options you have, the better your game will be. I like playing games in pixel perfect, but I do have to say that sometimes when I'm playing in handheld mode, I don't mind putting it in stretched mode or the full screen 4:3 mode, if that makes any sense. Pro tournament videos. This is something that I saw in a Samurai Showdown collection and I really liked. They have little snippets of professional gamers playing a match in a final. Now this is something that I definitely love to see in the King of Fighters collection, because the only way we're going to learn how to play games is by watching other people, and what better place to have that than in the collection of games. The music player. I'd love to see that return. There's great music in all these games, so would love to hear that separately if possible. Concept art and artwork also seems to be a running theme for SNK games on Nintendo Switch. Keep that going if possible. It's great to look at the artwork that the artist worked on. And lastly, but no less importantly, button mapping. I know the Nintendo Switch itself has button mapping, but that doesn't work for every single controller. So having button mapping in games, especially fighting games for me, I think is really important, as it will allow us to use whatever controller that we like, as long as it works on the Nintendo Switch. Now moving on to any requests, I do have a few. Firstly, can we please have a nice collectible in the box? This is just an ongoing thing for me, but when you do have a game series that was around for a very long time and you have fans that really love that series, it's always great to add a little collectible in the box. It just makes it a little bit more personal. So how about an arcade flyer or a King of Fighters arcade coin being thrown in the box? That would be absolutely great. As an absolute minimum, could we please get a NeoGeo themed reversible cover? It's one of the features that I really do like in some of the other games we've seen on Nintendo Switch. I think Sonic Mania, the reversible cover, had a Mega Drive theme on it, and that was fantastic. I really liked it. Actually, let me check. Yes, it is, and it's actually Sonic Mania Plus. So the physical edition on the Nintendo Switch, on the reverse side of the cover, the artwork looks exactly like Sonic Mania Plus was a Mega Drive game. It really looks like it, and it's a really cool feature. So for a game series like King of Fighters, it would be great on the reverse end of the cover if we could have it themed like it came out on the original NeoGeo. The King of Fighters R2. As a bonus, they could also include the King of Fighters R2 from the NeoGeo Pocket into this collection. Now, we do have this on the NeoGeo Pocket Color Selection Volume 1, but being included into this collection, I think, would make a lot of sense. This is a really good simplified version of King of Fighters for a handheld that only had 2 buttons, and it works really, really well. The game size is 91 megabytes, so it's not massive, but I think would be another great gesture towards the fan base to have this game in this collection. Now, as a separate request, could we please see King of Fighters 13 on Nintendo Switch? The game size on Steam, at least it shows that it's 5 gigs, so this could actually be a great addition to this collection, bringing the total cart size to just over 6.5 gigs, which would still be smaller than the Sam Show collection. I don't think that they'd add it into the collection, which is a bit of a shame because I think it would look really, really good as well. I do wonder how many fans would actually buy King of Fighters 13 on Switch if it was a standalone game. The game looks great, and I think it would be an awesome addition to Nintendo's handheld, but I'd have to say I'd be interested, but there'd have to be a balance between price and any features added or improved for the platform. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you be interested in buying King of Fighters 13 as a standalone game, or would you actually like to see it in a collection like this? Lastly, if you follow the channel, you will know that I love retro games. I really think that the Nintendo Switch is a great platform for these games to have retail editions as collections. The console has sold really well to various demographics, so collections like these are great for nostalgia, but also are really good to introduce old series and games to a new audience. So what do you think? Should a King of Fighters collection be on the Nintendo Switch? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? How would you change it? Please leave your impression down in the comment section. But that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you very much again for watching. If you like our content, we have a few videos talking about games, mostly arcade and retro on the channel. If you'd like to watch these, please take a look. If you like our content and want to help the channel grow, please click that like, subscribe, and notification bell for more of our content in the future. And until then, thanks again.